We are thrilled today to be welcoming the great Ruben Ostlund, whose films include seminal works such as Force Majeure, The Square, and of course the Palme d'Or winning Triangle of Sadness. Welcome everybody, Ruben Ostlund.
Thank you. Can you hear me now? Is the mic on now?
Yes.
Okay, so you can hear me when I'm standing here also?
Yes.
Okay, because I want to move a little bit more. I don't want to stand with a podium like this when I'm having my lecture. I want to move around a little bit more, but I will have some notes here in order to know what I'm saying. So I have been working as a filmmaker for 27 years now. But I didn't start out as a film director or a screenwriter. I was actually not very interested in cinema or the history of cinema when I grew up on a small island in the archipelago of Gothenburg on the west coast of Sweden. It was rather the opportunity that me and my friends had that we could borrow a VHS camera recorder and editing station from the commune that made us start filming our hobbies. We were filming windsurfing and mountain biking and skiing. And we did this with great passion. And in my early 20s, this became my profession. For a couple of years, I was traveling around in ski resorts in Europe and in North America and in the Scandinavian mountains, filming so-called free skiing. And during the summers, I edited these ski stunts together with rock music, mostly hard rock music. And these films were like half-an-hour films, basically with no narrative at all. It was only these ski images and music. And we sold these films through ski magazines on mail order, ski magazines called Powder and Skiing. So it was a very niched way of getting into filmmaking. When I was around 25 years old, I easily had my 10,000 hours of practice in camera operating, following small skiers on a big white field in the mountains. But I also had gotten really tired of spending my days in ski resorts. At this point, I applied for the film school in Gothenburg. There's a film directing school in Gothenburg called Akademi Valand Film. There is a 3-year bachelor. And then the second time I applied for the school, they were free-thinking enough to accept someone that had ski movies as a working sample. The day I started at the university was the same day as I got interested in cinema. The school and the teachers that were teaching on the school, they had their inspiration from the 60s movement of the French New Wave. And they taught us students that the filmmaking, it's political and personal at the same time. And they taught us that a filmmaker is an auteur. It's someone that is writing his or her own script and is always putting the films in the context of the society. The teacher, they also was very, encouraging us students that we should use the development of the technique. You know, the French New Wave in the 60s, it started basically with the small 16mm camera arrived to the market. And therefore, the French directors at that time could do a complete different film productions that have happened before. The same thing was when I was in school. The small DV camera came. The DV camera that was used together with the Dogma 95 manifest that the Danish directors did. And also, internet started to be something that we used more and more. And we students, we started to look at not only of the films of the film history, also started to look on moving images on the internet. And during this lecture, I want to try to tell you who I am, where I'm coming from. And I want to ask you to be open, because I'm just as much inspired by moving images that comes from the internet as the moving images that I've seen in film history. And I'm going to show you during this lecture 3 of my favorite YouTube clips and I'm going to show you a short film that I have made. And I'm going to try to explain to you why I think that our profession, we that work with mass media, that there's some kind of responsibility that we're dealing with, and why I think this profession is very, very important. And I will start by doing it to show my first YouTube clip. And the first YouTube clip is a clip called Cab Driver on the BBC. Have anyone seen this clip? Well, it's many that have seen it. Okay, great. I hope you enjoy to see it again. What you're going to see, because I like to explain what we're going to see before we watch it. What we're going to see is a BBC news program where a person have been mistaken for an expert on internet rights. And all of a sudden, he's put in the chair in an interview in a live broadcast news program. So take a look at the first clip, Cab Driver on the BBC.
So what does this all mean for the industry and the growth of music online? Well, Guy Cuny is the editor of the technology website News Wireless. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Were you surprised by this verdict today?
I'm very surprised to see this verdict to come on me, because I was not expecting that. When I came, they told me something else, and I'm coming. You got an interview there, so it's a big surprise anyway.
A big surprise.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah. With regards to the cost that's involved, do you think now more people will be downloading online?
Actually, if you can go everywhere, you're going to see a lot of people downloading to the internet and the website, everything they want. But I think it's much better for the development and to improve people what they want and to get on the easy way and so fast the things they're looking for.
This does really seem to be the way the music industry is progressing now, that people want to go onto the website and download music.
Exactly. You can go everywhere on the cyber cafe and you can check. You can go easy. It's going to be a very easy way for everyone to get something to the internet.
Okay, so why I think these moving images are so interesting. There are many, many aspects to it, but one of them is that it managed to capture the moment when someone is trying to avoid losing face in such a beautiful way. And I've been trying to do that in many, many of my fiction films, and I've never managed to do such a powerful image of that as this clip is. And me as a film director, I think it's important, since we have YouTube and we have access to all the moving images in the world, basically, on the internet, I have to compare myself and my expression towards the expression that is in this very unique movement that someone have uploaded on the internet. And I just actually want to take a look again, and I want to watch it with you, the moment when the Guy Goma, that is his real name, when he decides to play the role of the internet expert. Let's play the clip, just the first start.
For the industry and the growth of music online. Well, Guy Cuny is the editor of the technology website News Wireless. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Were you surprised by this verdict today?
Okay. There's another aspect of this that I think is super interesting that is connected to our profession. Because what he is doing is he's starting to imitate what he believes an internet expert would do. He's not being rational. You know, and I would like to make a statement, and it's that we human beings, we are much more imitating than we actually are rational. And when I was in school, the teachers had an illustration. We can bring up the illustration. That was trying to discuss who we human beings are. Are we the left illustration, you know, that we are solitary individuals that are free in our mind and just acting from our free will? Or are we a creature that is reflecting our environment? Are we shaped by what we see and what we experience? And I think that most of us agree on, at least the people that are working with culture agree that the right illustration is more accurate than the left illustration. Maybe right-wing neoliberals believe that we are the left illustration there. Bernard Stiegler, a professor on the Goldsmiths University in London, he had a theory that over half of the memories is a product of mass medial experiences. memories that we use when we navigate in life, and memories that change our behavior. And I want to show you my second YouTube clip that is called Baby Watches Rocky. Have anyone seen that clip? No? Okay, very interesting. Let's play the second YouTube clip.
Take this!
Okay. I think it's kind of obvious in which way you see that the images are reproducing a behavior when it comes to this little baby. And we humans, we start to imitate already from when we are newborn. And some scientists are saying that we have something in our brain that is called mirror neurons that is creating this behavior. Some other scientists say that we don't have mirror neurons, but we are imitating. So for an example, if you have a small baby, you can try to put out your tongue, and you will see that the baby is trying to imitate this behavior, or open up your mouth and so on. But I think also that the images that we see, they are influencing us in a way that we are not 100% aware of. There are some interesting studies that I would like to bring up as examples here. For an example, couples, married couples or couples that watch a lot of romantic comedies, they tend to break up and divorce more than other couples. So if you are a couple, you should really, and you want to stay together, you should really stay away from the romantic comedies. The police in Sweden, they have had a little bit of an issue with that people they are arresting. These people, they are saying like in a very aggressive way, I want to do my phone call. I have the right to do a phone call. But this is not the procedure in Sweden. This is something that they have picked up from American crime series and crime movies. And maybe the most clear and absurd example did Robert Saviano say in an interview that I read. Robert Saviano, he was the author of a book called Comorra, that is about the mafia in Neapel. And he said that half a year after an American gangster movie, a very popular one, I will not say which one it is, came out in the world, the young gangsters of Neapel, they started to shoot with a gun on the side like this. And the thing is that when you're shooting like this, it's much harder to hit the enemy. But when you have it like this in the vertical position, then it's easier. But all the gangsters, they started to imitate the characters in these movies, and the shootouts became much more bloody, and the police had a mess cleaning up afterwards. So it's just an interesting example of how we are imitating images that it's even not rational to imitate. Just like we saw in the clip with the cab driver. We do something in order to fit into the group, and it's our group behavior that creates a lot of these consequences. Now we're going to look at a tabloid in Sweden. Aftonbladet is this tabloid called. These are the more serious consequences that I think comes from that we are an imitating creature, and when we are not aware of this in a cautious way, in a careful way. This is from one of the Jukila school shootings. And this young man, he was sending in his press kit to the media before he did these horrible events. And you can see that he has a certain kind of rhetorics up there. It says, I'm full of hate and I love it. And he's posing with his gun. Usually I have a film poster next to it where you can see that his way of posing is very similar to the posing of this movie. But I will not point my fingers on any colleagues or anything like this, because I don't believe that we always, of course, are aware of the kind of consequences of the images that we're creating. And this film that was on the left side, I think actually the idea with that film was to teach people, don't go this way, don't do these things. But therefore, we have to be very careful with the kind of images that we create, and because it's hard to realize what kind of behavior they will reproduce. I thought myself that I was immune towards like the influence of images, since I like to have a discussion about this with my colleagues and my friends. But I got to know that that was not the case at all when I watched a robbery attempt for the first time in my life. And I would like to tell you about my experience of that robbery attempt, because there were so many details that felt absurd when I saw it happening on this other side of the street. This was maybe 12 years ago. I was together with my producer, Erik Hemmendorf, in Stockholm. We were in Stockholm because we wanted to apply for money for my second feature film, Involuntary. And we are walking on the street, and we are stopping up as a zebra crossing. And all of a sudden, I hear my friend Erik say, do they have ski masks on them? Do they have rubber masks? And I look over the street, and waiting for a green light, there are two men that is sitting on a moped. And under the helmets, it's sticking out like white masks. And I'm trying to like understand what's going on. So I'm saying to Erik, but no, it's rubber masks. What do you mean? Aren't these flame-proof masks that you have when you're dealing with racing? And Erik says, but they are on a moped, like, come on. These two men, they are very nervous. They can't wait for a green light. So they go up on the curb, and they cross the street, and they go towards a big luxury mall that is in the center of Stockholm. And they park the moped at the corner entrance, and they open up the saddle, and they take out two guns, and they run into the corner entrance. And Erik is saying, hey, we have to call the police. And I say, no, you don't have to do that. Because in these stores, under the desk, they have a button they just push, and then the police will be on their way immediately. The thing that happens like 10 seconds later is that the robber comes out on the street again, and they're looking up very confused on the building. And it turns out that they have been going to the wrong entrance. So they put back the guns in the saddle pocket. They get up on the saddle, and the moped is very, very slow. So they're like driving slowly on the curb to the main entrance. And in the main entrance, it's an old man standing, and he have realized the same thing that we have realized. And he's standing there and looking. He's standing like this, with his hand behind his back. And the robbers comes, and they are going around him, and then they are parking the moped, taking out the guns again, and running into the main entrance. Maybe 30 seconds later or something like that, guns are going off inside this building. And now it's becoming really, really absurd. Because I thought that people would, stop up, throw themselves behind the car, or trying to protect themselves. But instead, people are getting very curious, so they're getting closer and trying to look. And I remember there was like a tourist that had an ice cream in his hand that was like trying to see what is going on here. Me and Erik, we are hiding behind a glassed corner so we can see what's going on. And we are bringing out our cell phones because, of course, we want to shoot this. And I remember that we are complaining a little bit because there was no zoom on the cell phone cameras at that time. So we're like, at the same time this dramatic event is going on, we're like looking down on the phone and like, come on, it costs like 5,000 euro, like 5,000 kroners, and you still can't like zoom on it. Yeah, anyway. The man that is standing outside the entrance, what he's doing when the guns is going off is that he is going over to the moped, and he puts it down on the ground, and then he goes back and stands on his spot where he was standing before. Then one of the robbers comes running out from the main entrance, and he sees the moped that is laying down, and he sees this old man that doesn't seem to be scared of him. So he shoots towards him. Then this old man, he gets a little scared, so he goes and hides behind a big pillar, like a marble pillar that is in the entrance. So he's standing on this side of this big pillar, and the robber is on the other side and have put up the moped, and is like standing and looking towards the entrance in this direction. But this man, he is a little bit too curious, so he can't help himself but trying to look what's going on. And when the robber sees him and putting out his head, he shoots towards him, and the man gets scared and goes behind the pillar again. And then it takes like 15 seconds, and he wants to see again what's happening. So everything that plays out in this event fits so bad with my expectation on how a robbery attempt should happen. And since I have not experienced any robbery attempt, or I have not really even heard anyone tell me about this kind of experience, of course, all my reference is something that I have gotten from fictionalized and mass media communication. After this happened, I wrote down every detail that I remembered. Because the idea came up that I wanted to create a short film where I was trying to give a reference to these kind of events that I felt was more true than the one that occupied my mind. And I want to show it to you now. Do you want to see it? Yeah, okay. So you're going to see exactly what I told you now, but I like that because then you can see if I managed to visualize the things that I was communicating. So let's play Incident by a Bank is the name.
Hittar du den? Hittar du den?
Ja, visst. Åh jävlar. Jag tror någon har slängt den och kolla på hatthyllan och allting.
Vad fan låg den?
Du vet att vi satt på sätet. Kolla under. Jag höll på att missa den.
Ja.
Men sen när jag går ut så ser jag ögonvrån att det är något som liksom bara, jag bara känner det. Tar den fastnat mellan sätet och väggen. Du fattar?
Ja.
Ja, för fan vilken tur. Och vad är min mobil nu?
Ska jag ta något eller?
Vad fan? Nej, det är lugnt. Så jävla tur. Kolla, det ser ut som de har en sån jävla rånarluvor där. Kolla. Henrik, allvarligt.
Vadå?
Det vita där som sticker ut under hjälmarna.
Nej, vad fan.
Men allvarligt, det ser fan ut som de har såna jävla rånarluvor.
Ja, du menar de skulle råna banken?
Nej, jag vet inte fan.
Rånarluvor är väl ändå svarta? Det där är så här flamsäkra huvud som man kör rally typ. Rallyhuvud.
Ja, men vad fan, det är ju en EU-moppe.
Vänta. Vad gör du? Vad gör du?
Ta tillbaka, jag vet inte.
Ta bort den här hela. Ryck bort den!
Alltså, du ligger inne och kör bara.
Vad fan håller du på med?
Allvarligt. shit. Jävla skit också. Det är fan alltså. Jag sa det till dig.
Du har bara en pistol.
Allvarligt.
Fan, jag glömde det.
Akta nu för helvete.
Ska vi ringa polisen? Men... Vad fan?
Henrik.
Nej, vad fan håller de på med?
Det är där borta, det är där borta.
Alltså, seriöst?
Nej, det är dit.
Vad fan är det som händer? Jag vet inte om vi kan stå här.
Filmar du eller?
Ja, jag filmar.
Zooma in lite.
Men seriöst, ska vi stå här?
Ja,
De
för
skjuter,
fan. Nej, men det är inte på oss.
Nej, inte
Kolla
på
det.
oss. Men skottet kan ju komma vad fan som helst.
Kan du inte zooma mer på dem?
Ja, men det går ju.
Jo, det går. Kolla.
Nej, men det går inte. Här borde ju vara zooma, men det funkar inte.
Kolla han där. Helt arg.
Gå bort, jag vill inte ha det här. Gå bort. Nej, håll käft! Håll käft, stick härifrån. Gå, 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 gå. Kör, 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 kör.
Ta det lugnt. Ta det lugnt, gör inte ont. Kan jag hjälpa till med något? Du backa undan lite.
Jag har inte gjort något. Jag har inte gjort något.
Ta det lugnt. Ta
Jag har
det
inte
lugnt.
gjort något.
Har du inte gjort något?
Jag har inte gjort något.
Vad fan gör pistolen här?
Jag har ingen pistol.
Va?
Jag har ingen pistol.
Så det där är inte din pistol?
Det är inte min pistol.
Ja, det är lugnt.
Ja.
Ta pistolen där. Kan du andas? Kan du andas?
Ja.
Ta bort den. Backa lite där.
Jag har inte gjort något. Jag har inte gjort något.
Vad var det jag sa om rånarluvor? Allvarligt, jag sa ju till dig.
Sköt alla dem.
Alltså det här är ju fan alltså. Allvar, det där är helt jävla. Han fick honom. Den andra försvann nog fan med. Kom han undan eller?
Jag har inte gjort något.
Fy fan. Fan vad det smart.
Kolla här, man ser ganska bra ändå.
Är det som du filmar?
Ja. Okej, man ser inte allt. Men
Nu kan du zooma.
ja, nu kan jag zooma, men det blir bara pixligt.
Ja, jag fattar.
Det här är ändå 8 megapixel.
Är det det på dem?
Ja. Har du emot ett drag?
Ja, visst.
Hittar du det?
Ja, jag hittade jag för. Men jag fattar fan, är allvarligt talat. Vad är det för jävla skittelefoner? Kostar ju fan flera tusen. De ska kunna zooma liksom.
Det går ju att zooma i bilden sen. Jag gjorde ju det. Nej.
Jo, men det blir inte bra, blir det inte?
Nej, det blir ju... Nej.
Jag fattar, det är som de här flygplanen du vet. De nya stridsflygplanen. De jobbar på att de går så här snabbt.
Ta det lugnt, så gör det. Ta det lugnt. Undan där. Flytta på er killar. Ta det lugnt.
Okay. Thank you so much. So my experience when I had witnessed this event was first of all that, okay, there's no one that is the main character in life. All the things are happening parallel, and it was so interesting, the feeling when we left that this guy that had been pushed down on the street, that probably was in his most dramatic moment in his life, was so distant from the mood that me and Eric was feeling. We was nervous that going to this meeting, and we immediately started to talk about other things. And of course we got back and talked about this a little bit later, but it was really like two parallel universes that was going on. When I was going back to Gothenburg on the train back after this meeting at the Swedish Film Institute, I was reading the tabloids in Sweden, and Aftonbladet that I showed you before, they was reporting about this event, and they wrote, robbery attempt towards Enko was extremely well planned. And I have no idea how they got up with that idea. But maybe it is like this, that the journalist that is sitting and writing also have these fictionalized references in his mind when he's starting to report about the events that was going on. And I think also the robbers that was going and doing this robbery have a fictionalized image in their mind that they are using it as a reference when they are doing it. There's one little backstory to this that is kind of interesting also, because when this film was finished, like a year later or something like that, I have a friend that sends me a YouTube link or a link to a TV show. And it's a TV show called The Top 10 Dumbest Criminals in the World. It's an American TV show. And on position number 7 on this list, a clip from my short film is. So they have used like the fictional material and claim that it's authentic in this TV show. And there is a narrator that is saying to the images like, and these robbers got away with a fortune. Completely made up things. So I think that I think it's important to be aware of the kind of confusion we have when we are trying to decode like moving images today. And that's why I believe that I today think that cinema is more important than that is have been ever before, or at least since I started at film school. Because the quality of the cinema is that we are watching things together in one room physically. It's basically one of the few places where we're watching images together. And there's a huge difference of watching images together than sitting by ourselves and scroll individual screens like this. Because when we're watching by ourselves, it doesn't demand us to reflect at all. But in the cinema, when someone is physically sitting next to you, it might be that they will ask you a question afterwards. And I think it just changes our attitude towards how we were watching. When I started at film school, then people used to look at TV together. Then we gathered in front of the TV. But it is not like that anymore, not at least in Sweden. Basically, the only program that we watch together in Sweden nowadays is Eurovision Song Contest. All other program, all other content, we are sitting and looking at like this. And I think it's a quite, alarming thing to know when you hear that Swedish television, for example, the most popular children program called Bolibompa, when 20 years ago, when my twin daughters were born, and when they grew up, basically all kids were sitting every weekday and watching this program. But today, there are 14-year-old influencers that have a larger audience than the Swedish television children program. So the next generation now is actually going to be brought up by images that a 14-year-old influencer in the hand of tech companies is curating for them. I think that is scary. And therefore, I think that the role of the cinema is more important than ever. I think the cinema should be like a society room or the new pub where we actually go and discuss and get provoked and have a discussion about like what kind of society we want, what are these images that we are consuming. I would like to to end the lecture where I started a little bit, because I want to show you now the third YouTube clip I have with me. And it's the best ski clip I have seen, ski film clip. And it's not a 20-year-old young man that is trying to show off and be cool. It's a ski clip that is called 9-year-old girl does her first ski jump. And I think it's interesting to look at this clip because try to get inspired by this kind of situation. I would love to see someone write a scene that have this kind of content. Okay, we can play the clip.
I'll be fine.
Have fun.
I'll do it. Well, here goes something, I guess. Oh. Do this. I'm gonna jump.
You got it.
Whoa, my ski's slipping off.
Just remember, never snowplow, okay?
No snow plows.
Just keep it straight and you'll be fine.
Okay.
Same thing you do on the 20.
Straight. Do you go faster on the in run?
Little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Is it any steeper, do you think? Not much?
Same steepness, it's just longer.
Well, just longer. Just longer. Just a bigger 20, that's all.
Yep. Have
It's
fun.
a bigger 20. Go ahead. You got this. I got it.
It's fine. You'll be fine.
Okay. Here.
The longer you wait, you'll be more scared.
I go. Just the suspense at the top at the first time freaks you out. That's the only thing. It's so fun. Huh? 60 seems like nothing now. Whoa!
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.